Emma sat in the rare quiet of her childhood bedroom, her hands trembling as she stole this precious moment of solitude. At 23, she had never experienced the simple freedom that most young women took for granted: the ability to make her own choices, to dream her own dreams, to live her own life. For as long as she could remember, her existence had been defined by one overwhelming responsibility: caring for her older sister Sarah, who lived with holoprosencephaly and functioned at the cognitive level of a 1-year-old child. The weight of this burden had been placed on Emma's shoulders when she was just 16 years old, barely old enough to drive but somehow deemed mature enough to handle the complex medical and emotional needs of a severely disabled adult. Her parents had been crystal clear about her destiny. From that moment forward, she would dedicate her life to Sarah's care, and any dreams she might have harbored for herself were secondary to this sacred duty. They had orchestrated her entire future with chilling precision. When Emma expressed interest in different career paths, her parents steered her firmly toward nursing school. "It's the best way to prepare you for taking care of Sarah," they said, their voices leaving no room for argument. Emma knew she didn't really have a choice. Her education, her career, her very identity had been shaped around her sister's needs, as if she existed solely to serve as Sarah's lifelong caregiver. The cruel irony was that Emma genuinely loved being a nurse and had always felt called to help others. But her secret dream, working in a hospital's labor and delivery unit, bringing new life into the world and supporting families during their most vulnerable moments, felt impossibly distant. Every time she dared to mention applying for hospital positions, her parents' reactions were swift and brutal. Her mother would accuse her of turning her back on family and being selfish beyond belief. Her father would shake his head in disappointment, telling her she wasn't being a good sister and should be grateful for the opportunity to help. The manipulation was suffocating. They painted her natural desire for independence and professional fulfillment as a moral failing. A betrayal of everything they had sacrificed to raise 2 daughters. "Some people would kill to be in your position," they would say, to get to spend so much time with family. But Emma couldn't remember the last time she had spent time with anyone else. She had no friends. How could she maintain friendships when she was always on call? No romantic relationships. What partner would understand that Sarah would always come first? No hobbies, no adventures, no spontaneous moments of joy. At 23, Emma had never been on a roller coaster, never gone camping under the stars, never taken a vacation just for the thrill of exploring somewhere new. She had missed every milestone of young adulthood. Watching from the sidelines as her former classmates fell in love, traveled the world, built careers, and discovered who they were as individuals. Emma didn't even know who she was beyond Sarah's caregiver. The guilt was perhaps the most devastating part of her prison. Emma loved Sarah deeply, that had never been in question. Sarah was innocent, vulnerable, and deserving of excellent care. But Emma had begun to realize that love and martyrdom were not the same thing. She could love her sister while also acknowledging that she deserved a life of her own. She could want to help Sarah while also recognizing that her parents had manipulated her into sacrificing her entire identity for their convenience. The breaking point came during yet another conversation about hospital job applications. Emma had mustered the courage to mention a labor and delivery position that seemed perfect for her skills and interests. Her parents' response was immediate and crushing. They accused her of abandoning Sarah, of being fundamentally selfish, of failing as both a daughter and a sister. The words cut deep because Emma had internalized them over years of conditioning. Maybe she was selfish for wanting more than this life of servitude. Maybe she was betraying Sarah by dreaming of something different, but in moments of clarity, usually during rare breaks like this one while her mother had taken Sarah to physical therapy, Emma could see the truth. Her parents had essentially stolen her childhood, her adolescence, and now her young adulthood. They had manipulated her into believing that her worth was contingent on her willingness to sacrifice everything for Sarah's care. They had convinced her that wanting a normal life was a moral failing rather than a basic human need. Emma realized that this arrangement wasn't really about what was best for Sarah, it was about what was most convenient for her parents. They could maintain their own lives and interests while Emma bore the full responsibility of caregiving. They could feel good about Sarah's care without having to provide it themselves or pay for professional services. Emma had become their unpaid, full-time solution to a complex problem, and they were willing to destroy her dreams to maintain that solution. The most heartbreaking aspect was that Emma genuinely wanted to help people. It was why she had thrived in nursing school despite the coercive circumstances that led her there. But she was beginning to understand that she could serve others while also serving herself. She could ensure Sarah received excellent care through professional services while pursuing her own career in labor and delivery. She could love her sister without sacrificing her entire life on the altar of family obligation. What do you think about Emma's situation? Is she being selfish for wanting her own life, or have her parents crossed the line into emotional abuse and manipulation? Should family obligation require complete self-sacrifice? Share your thoughts on this complex situation involving disability, family duty, and personal freedom.